If you want to operate in a spiritual realm, in an energetic realm, you have to stop thinking that it has to make logical sense to you because that will keep you stable. That will keep you from changing. That will keep you from expanding. That will keep you from stretching because nothing about faith makes sense.
You're listening to Life Aquarian, a soul's journey through the human experience. And now, here's your host, Leanne.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Leanne, and if you're new here, this is my soul's journey through the human experience where I am sharing everything that I am learning along the way, the insights, the awakenings, the messy middle, and the magic. And this is also where I get to introduce you to the mentors, the teachers, and the incredible intuitives that I get to connect with in this life and on my path. And I'm really excited to introduce you to Tiffany Jenkins from the Golden Seat Life. I affectionately call her VIP Tiffany because wherever she goes, she's always backstage and front row, even if she doesn't have a ticket. But what is more powerful than that is her spiritual practice. And that's really what we're going to tap into today because Tiffany has been having some really profound meditations with some of the greatest ascended masters and spiritual teachers to ever walk the earth. And well, some of them haven't even been in a physical body before. So when I asked her to come share some of the messages that have been coming through for her lately, I was really delighted when she agreed. So welcome to the show, Tiffany. Hello.
Thank you, Leanne. What a lovely introduction. Appreciate you.
Yes, of course. And I appreciate you. I know that you are always so generous with sharing what you pick up and what's coming through for you. And thank you. Thank you for being here. And what I really like to do to start things off is to hear a little bit about your spiritual journey and how you came to do this work. And especially, I know that your backstory is very interesting. It's unlike, well, anyone else's that I have ever met. And I will let you tell it. I'm not going to give anything away. So can you please share your story with us?
Sure, I will give an incredibly condensed version because it is a lot for the sake of time. But basically, I'm a Midwesterner. I'm from the Midwest. But when I was 8 years old, I was moved to Saudi Arabia. My dad decided he wanted to live there. So me and my brother went there, and I grew up there. We converted to Islam there, and we became citizens of Saudi Arabia, and I was there for 8 years. I left in 1991 and came back in 1999 when I was 16. And I had to start high school, which was terrifying because I had never been in the same room with a boy since I was 8 years old. And since
What?
everything was separate in Saudi Arabia, men and women don't mix like that. And so that was quite jarring to have to go to school and be near boys, and just having to navigate adolescence from a Western perspective when I had been doing it through the Middle Eastern perspective for all of my childhood. And I was almost an adult. I was 16 when I came back. So I was, almost 18. So it was quite challenging. I started high school late because they didn't know what to do with me because I was 16 and all of my report cards were in Arabic. So they just started me as a freshman. So I graduated high school at 20 years old and went straight to college in Indiana. And I've been doing life ever since, trying to navigate and reground myself in Western culture. And there's been ups and downs. There were certain perspectives that were just so foreign to me that, and maybe certain privileges, things that may not be looked at as a privilege here, but they were because they were things that I was not afforded when I was living in Saudi Arabia. For example, it wasn't until 2018 where women were given the right to drive in Saudi Arabia. So women could not drive when I lived there. You couldn't leave the house by yourself. You couldn't run to the store alone. You had to be escorted by a male. Like there were just a lot of these, you couldn't freely travel, so there were no concerts, there were no movie theaters, there was nothing like that there. All that stuff is there now, 20, 30 years later, but it took a really, really long time. So these were just things that I never cared to do. I thought, well, women can't drive, so I never had a desire to until I moved back here. Do you see what I mean? So it was never anything that was, oh, when you turn 16, you drive. No. It's like you be prepared for womanhood and to have a family and be all of the things that was traditional over there is what I was prepared for. So I felt like coming back here, it just kind of threw everything out of whack for me. And so as I got older, I tried to acclimate more. And I would say in 2016 is when I had my, I guess you would call it spiritual awakening. I discovered The Secret in 2012. Someone I knew told me about it because she was using law of attraction and her life was transforming. And it was kind of a lower point in my life. Life had been lifing hard. And I felt like I was at a crossroad with my religious beliefs versus this feeling that I'm not denouncing this, but I feel like there's more to the story that I'm not being shown or not being told. And so in 2016, I was just in a depressive state. I was um, renting a room from a friend of mine, and I was just so upset with how I felt like my life turned out because I felt very much like I was failing at life and that I should be um, more acclimated already based on my age, not really giving myself grace, understanding about, arrested development and just learning that these were kind of traumatic shifts that happened along with other past traumas in childhood, even before I left the States. All of these things just kind of came to a head in 2016. And I just like stood up in the room and I was like, listen, whatever you are, God, Allah, Buddha, Jehovah, Yahweh, I don't know, whatever you are, Jesus, you tell me what you are and I'll oblige. Like, whatever I'm supposed to worship, I'll worship. Whatever I'm supposed to believe is true, I believe is true. Just show me what the truth is. And I'm just going to shed everything that I think I know, everything that I've been taught my whole life about everything, about religion, about humanity, about the world, about existence. I'm just going to drop all of that right now. And you tell me, you show me what the truth is. 15 minutes later, I got on YouTube and a short excerpt of Neil Donald Walsh's book, Conversations with God, came up. And I listened to that short 10-minute excerpt and then I found the whole book on YouTube. It was like 3 books, 3 volumes. I listened to all of them. They were like 6 and 8 and 9 hours long. I listened to all of them. My world changed just after listening to the first 30 minutes of the first book. Everything just started changing. It was like a direct answer to my question. So many questions. And I just started going on this journey of reading books by Deepak Chopra and some more books from Neil Donald Walsh and even more books from Rhonda Byrne. And then my mind started expanding even more. And then I started taking law of attraction a lot more seriously. And then over time, I started trying to practice mindfulness. And eventually, meditation started coming, hit and miss, off and on, because I don't think I was fully prepared for the meditative process. And then over time, I discovered Roxy and her channel back in late 2019. And then the pandemic happened And so being in quarantine, it really just threw me into my spiritual journey because all I had was me. It was just me. And I really had time to sit and reflect and ask myself a lot of challenging questions. And a lot of those questions were answered. I started sitting in silence more. I started meditating and I started scripting that I do, started visualizing, especially with the concerts that started in 2019. That was a law of attraction thing. I just decided I didn't want to be in the nosebleed anymore. And I just commanded that I am now the version of me who was always in the front row. And I had only been in the front row like twice, like my whole the whole time. And it started happening. That night I had a concert and I manifested a front row seat when it was completely empty. It was unavailable on Ticketmaster, but when I showed up, it was available. So like ever since then, I've been on you know I've been on the road with my concerts. Okay, I've been backstage, on stage, side stage, after party, the whole thing. Ticket, no ticket, money, no money, doesn't matter. I'm there. I just said all I have to do is show up, and I have a VIP experience, and it happens. And I visualize, I do whatever I feel called to do. But I recently started really learning about my I am awareness through like Tom Karen and some really other incredible people. And I really started focusing on that. And that's when my meditation started getting deeper and deeper. And in 2013 is when I decided to kind of separate from my corporate job and start my own business for being an intuitive channeler, something that I suppressed for a long time. I didn't want to receive it because I thought it was like considered evil and everything like that. So, but Roxy insisted that I just take a chance with it. She had been telling me for years that she thought I was highly intuitive, and I finally accepted it. And I've kind of been on a roll with that ever since. And I do sessions and I do channelings, and even through my meditations, I receive channel messages, and a lot of them are entities, like you said, that are just energies. They're not even people, they're just energies, but they present themselves to me to answer whatever questions that I have. And here we are. Now I get to be on Life Aquarian podcast with Leanne.
So, I recently heard you talk about a conversation that you had with God around stability. You know,
Hmm.
as human beings, a lot of us think, oh, I just want stability. I want stability. And you really did a deep dive into what that would mean, what it means to have the kind of stability we think we want. I would love to hear you share the message that you got from God regarding stability and flow.
Yeah, that was a very unique meditation because I've never really considered myself meditating with God, with the all that is. I don't know why it just seemed it's that idea of separation again. Like I couldn't possibly, have a meditation with such big of an energy as God. But I didn't even call it in. I was just like sitting on the edge of the bed, just kind of zonked out a little bit, just listening to the fan. And I fell into a meditative state, and God showed up, came to me. I wasn't even trying to meditate, just came to me. And, I didn't know that that's what I'm going to say he just for the conversation, but God is no gender. God is all that is. But I'm just going to say he. So he showed up and kind of introduced himself with just this white light and everything. But it's like he knew exactly what I was feeling in that moment when he showed up and started bringing up things that I had maybe lamented about in the past and maybe felt anger over and things like that, or felt frustrated over, or things that I was beating myself up about. And one of them was the idea of stability because my life has kind of been like this. And so I've just kind of had this feeling that there was something wrong with me, something I wasn't seeing, something I wasn't connecting with, because I felt like I could never be stable in the traditional sense. And so God said to me, humans or humanity are so busy chasing after stability instead of seeking flow. And that stability, he actually told me to look up the word stability, which I did. And to be stable is to be unchangeable, to be at rest. You don't change when you're in a place of stability. But when you're in flow, you move according to your spirit, according to the energetic pulls that you're having, the ebbs and the flows. You're not rooted to anything. You're allowing yourself to move. And so, which is the definition of unstable. Unstable, it literally means changeable. To be mutable, to be changeable is to be unstable. And so God said, look at the earth. Do you think the earth is stable? She spins on a tilted axis, and yet you don't go flying everywhere because there is a flow to our entire solar system. Nothing crashes into each other. And even if like a meteor, they say like meteors sometimes like comes to Earth, comes through the atmosphere, it's not like hitting anything else on its way. It just goes through the atmosphere and it usually falls in some big open space in the earth, like a desert somewhere. You know what I mean? So he was saying that stability, you should basically don't strive for being stable because it will keep you rooted where you are. And we're not meant to be stagnant. We're not meant to be rooted anywhere. We're meant to move. We're meant to grow and expand. Creation is done, and in its doneness, it's still expanding. So it's still unstable. And yet everything is perfect. And so our goal should never be to be stable, to be rooted, to be constantly still where we are. But the goal should always be in a state of flow, to be in a state where we are mutable, where we're changeable, and we're really making friends with the fact that we are always going to continue to expand. There is nothing stable about that. And I just thought that was so profound because it's something that I needed to hear because it made me feel like, okay, so I'm not just this crazy, too Sagittarius person who just can't get it together. But I'm actually doing what I've been meant to be doing. I've been in the flow, even if it didn't always look like that according to the 3D. I've been in flow because if I wasn't, I couldn't possibly show up to a sold out concert with nothing and still decide that I'm still going to be and I'm going to have the most incredible VIP time of my life. There's no logical sense in that, but there's flow in that. And it happens. So hopefully that's again a condensed version because it was a very long meditation. But so be unstable. Use your discernment, but be open to being unstable. Be open to seeking flow instead of chasing stability. We don't want stability. You want stability in your income, that means your income doesn't change. It stops. It stays where it is. You want stability in your relationships, that means your relationships don't grow. They stop. They stay where they are. We don't want stability. We want flow. We want to expand and express and grow at the rate in which our spirit is ready to. That's what we want.
Yes. I really appreciate you bringing that through because there are so many people who need to hear that right now because there's a lot of instability in our world. I feel really confident in saying more than there ever has been, ever. And people don't know how to navigate it and what to do. So thank you. I want to set up the second part of the interview I had with Tiffany because it is juicy. Tiffany had a meditation with the energy of faith. Yes, faith came to her as an entity, and they had an expansive conversation about what it truly means to have faith, and some really great illustrations about what that feels like and the reward on the other side of taking a leap. It really opened my mind, and I think that you're going to enjoy it too. So back to the show.
What Faith told me, she's feminine energy, nothing to do with gender. This is just energy itself. And she told me that her name was Rana. And the way she explained herself, she helps allowing come through. And Faith was talking about things that I had issues with personally. And a lot of them was trusting and trusting things that seemed challenging, a lot of the challenges, or even things I viewed as setbacks. And she gave these metaphors of when people say you have to stretch your faith. The metaphor she gave was when you stretch your faith, there's going to be discomfort. Because when you stretch in general, it's usually uncomfortable and it usually hurts. And she gave an example of when children are getting taller and they have growing pains, it's because their body is stretching and it hurts. It's uncomfortable. But the end result is they get to experience this new adolescent body. When women are giving birth, women need to stretch to at least 10 centimeters in order for this little human to come out of the birth canal. It is incredibly painful and uncomfortable, but the reward is that you have this beautiful little child. Every time we take a step in a direction that we've never been in, something that's foreign territory to our conscious mind and our logic, our ego will panic because our egos like stability. Our egos like familiarity and predictability, things that it can easily access and come up with a narrative that will be conducive to what it already believes to be true based on whatever identity it's created. And it's all about self preservation. So if you step outside of the boundaries of what it considers preserved and familiar and safe for it, you're going to be met with resistance. And so as you push through that resistance, it's going to require you to stretch. You're going to have to stretch and go places you've never gone, be someone you've never been, talk to people you've never spoken to, and think thoughts you've never considered or even entertained before. Every time you take a step, you're stretching your faith because you're saying, I don't know what is on the other side. I don't know the path that's going to get me there, but I know that my desire is already waiting for me, and this is how it has to unfold. There is a lot of fear that can come along with that because you're stretching your faith. And the doubt, the fear, the worry, the second guessing, all of that is uncomfortable. It can be painful, physically, mentally, emotionally, or psychologically. But yet, you're just stretching your faith because with every step that you take in uncertainty, you're creating more certainty that the thing is already there. So when we stretch our faith, we are allowing faith to do what she was meant to do, which was to cradle us while we take those leaps of faith and opening a path for allowing to come in, because that's what faith does. Faith is what is the quote, like the essence, it's loyalty to the thing that's unseen. And so within that loyalty, you're demonstrating that loyalty. An opening is being made for the allowing to come in. So once you've committed to the loyalty that you're going to be loyal to faith and trust that the thing is already there, then allowing comes in, and allowing, it's like they work it hand in hand. The allowing comes in, and then you discover the ways, the path that unfolds for you to get that thing. So it's like you've granted it permission to come in. Like, okay, I'm trusting, I'm sitting in faith. Okay, allowing, you can come on in now, and you can unfold the path for me. It may feel uncomfortable, and that's because I'm sitting in faith. That's why it feels uncomfortable. I'm relying on something that I cannot see. I'm relying on a path that hasn't been shown to me yet. But I'm allowing to come in and unfold the path for me, regardless of how it looks. So I thought that was very profound for me because it opened up my eyes to a lot of different things, and it changed my perspective, even on faith itself, and allowing.
That is really comforting to hear. And I just had one last question to piggyback on that. And it is, how, in your opinion, how do we allow?
Allowing is it's an action, but I believe it is an energetic action. I think to allow starts with a decision. I think, like anything else, that you make a decision. I am now allowing this thing to unfold in the best way possible for me. I think once you've made that decision, then the allowing energy itself gets activated. And I think once that activation has started, I believe the allowing is the part of consciousness that unveils that which we cannot see, but we're trusting that faith already has. So I believe allowing is the path, whatever it looks like. It is the path that unfolds once you've made your decision. I believe it is a flow-based state because I think true allowing, I think there's false allowing and then there's true allowing. I think true allowing can only come from you being in a state of flow. I think anything else is forced. It's coercion. And we both know that when we try to force a square peg in a round hole, we get nothing but frustration, and we start to feel the doubt. We start thinking, oh my gosh, it's not happening. Why isn't it happening? Why isn't it coming? Why hasn't this manifested yet? Why are they still acting like this, et cetera, et cetera? Not thinking, you know what? Maybe I'm just not allowing it to work out. Maybe I'm not allowing this new version of my SP to show up. Maybe I'm just not allowing that dream job to come to me. Maybe I'm too quick to accept that which my five senses are showing me, and very slow to accept that which I cannot see but know is already there. When you say the art of allowing, I truly believe it is itself an art. I think it's a dance. It's a dance that it's like a tango, an energetic tango between faith and allowing, because I believe they go hand in hand. In order to allow something in that you can't see and have no data in your mind, in the Rolodex of what you're able to recall in that moment, that could possibly tell you, oh no, this thing can happen. You have none of that. Everything is screaming, it's a no. It's a hard no, Leanne. Let it go. This is not for you. No, ma'am. But you choose, you decide, I'm going to allow this anyway. And I am going to sit, I'm going to allow faith to cradle me because faith says, be loyal to me, be loyal to the thing that you can't see because God has already given it to you. Creation is done. There is nothing that is not already there, and you are not separate from the thing that you desire. So let me cradle you and just trust that just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And let Sister Allowing come in and let her pull back the curtain and show you the path, no matter how illogical it may seem. Because that's one thing I want to just throw out there. And I made a YouTube video about this. This is called Stop Trying to Make Faith Make Sense. There is nothing about faith and spirituality and metaphysics and all that that really makes logical sense. That's why it's called metaphysics, beyond physics. That's what metaphysical means, beyond the physical. So if you want to operate in a spiritual realm, in an energetic realm, you have to stop thinking that it has to make logical sense to you because that will keep you stable. That will keep you from changing. That will keep you from expanding. That will keep you from stretching because nothing about faith makes sense. Nothing about God makes sense. None of it makes sense. Nothing about manifestation makes sense. We try to intellectualize it so that it can make sense for our purpose of understanding. But within that understanding, we can't lose sight of the fact that we are trying to make logical sense of something that is nonsensical. So if your path makes no sense, allow it to not make sense. Not making sense does not mean you're not getting what you desire. It doesn't mean it's the wrong path. Just because the path doesn't make sense doesn't mean that it's wrong. So I just want to throw that out there.
And that is a lovely conclusion for our time together today because it resonates. And I know with me and anybody who would be attracted to this video, I'm sure. I want to go back to your business. Tell us what types of readings do you offer and how can somebody sign up for them?
Everything, all of my services do tie in with channeling in some capacity, just connecting with your consciousness. That's really what it is. I'm just connecting to your consciousness and I'm allowing whatever your consciousness, your spirit guides, your spirit team wants you to know that you're not hearing. I just allow myself to be a conduit and I'm like a transmitter. I'm just transmitting what they're saying. And I offer for about specific person, like SP things, regular manifestation coaching. If you just have something called like a listening ear, which is you just want to rant, rant it out. And if you want any type of advice, I can give you whatever channel messages have come through for that. And all that is at my website at Pensight, that's one word, PENSIGHT.com/X/golden seat. That's all one word, golden seat. If you need something more custom, then you can send me an email at thegoldenseat1111@gmail.com. And we can work out something else if what you find on my website isn't exactly what you need. We can tailor something that's more conducive to where you're at right now.
And I know that you frequently have all kinds of really crazy good specials that you
Mm-hmm.
announce on your social media channel. So, how can people connect with you on social so that they'll be the first to know when you've got something spicy?
Well, I'm on Instagram at the Golden Seat Life, so you can send me a DM, and I also have a YouTube channel, which is Fame. That's an acronym, FAME as an acronym. Fame with Tiffany Renee, RENEE. All of my YouTube videos are there. All of my manifestation success stories, my crazy concert stories on my YouTube channel. So if you need evidence that all things are possible, check out some of my YouTube videos because you're going to be surprised, okay, just at how the impossible becomes possible once you've decided that it is.
Thank you again, Tiffany. I love and appreciate you so much, and I hope to have you back very, very soon.
Absolutely. Anytime, anytime, anytime. You know, I love you. I love your channel. I love your contributions and love your openness, your vulnerability. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you found this content valuable, it would mean the world to me if you would give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone else who you think would benefit from it as well. And if you would like to see more incredible conversations like this one, please subscribe to my channel and continue this journey through the human experience with me. I truly appreciate you spending this time with me today, and I look forward to being with you again very soon.